Hey guys, we are live. What's going on out there today, this morning, this afternoon, tonight, wherever you are? I don't know. You could be halfway around the world. Whatever. What's up? What's up, guys? Look, happy Saturday morning. Hope you got some tennis on tap today, if not this weekend. I got a little workout scheduled over on the Clay Steamboat Tennis Center this morning. Looking forward to that. Um, guys, fitness. I mean, it's kind of a deal for tennis, right? I mean, there is technique we should always be, kind of tinkering with. There are tactics, right? There's the mental part of the game. Yeah, kind of a big deal. Uh, there's fitness, right? The physical part, and then experiences, right? Kind of the five real pillars, the five foundations, the five pillars that make up the foundation for becoming a really good, solid tennis player. Solid meaning that you go out every day and because you've built this confidence that you've got all five of these pillars organized, you've worked on them, and maybe one's a little bit better than the other one, but you got to have all five, and if you don't, then you're going to stay stuck. So today I want to kind of tell you a little bit about fitness and what I used to do that did not work and what I do now that does work. And so look, I mean, when I first started playing tournaments back in the day, I kind of thought, all right, well, I guess this fitness thing's kind of a big deal. Why don't I just go ahead and let's get the legs really strong? So I started doing some long distance running, and I'm sure 99% of you know that long distance running is great for running long distance and great for endurance, but it's not good for tennis, right? The long distance stuff really breaks down those quick twitch fiber muscles that you got to have in terms of stopping and starting and really good balance, right? So I would go out and I'd run a few miles after playing a match, and then I'd come back the next day and kind of go, man, I can't move. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I got nothing. I'd get frustrated, but I go, but maybe I'm not in good enough shape. So I go out and run some more. And it just got, I can't remember. Someone told me, look, man, you gotta stop the long distance stuff. And so eventually what I came to believe is, well, what do we do in tennis? Right? I mean, we're not doing any long distance running in tennis. What are we doing? Right? We're doing a series of small, little, kind of complicated sprints. And complicated meaning that we've got to visually track a moving ball as we're also on the move. That's a big challenge. I mean, what other sports have that? You look at golf. I mean, golf, there's not a moving ball. Golf, you don't have to move. You get to kind of settle into whatever hitting setup position you want. Ball's just sitting there. How tough can that be? I'm kidding. I know it's a tough game. But we don't have that challenge in golf that we do in tennis. Baseball hitters, all right, you're standing there, you're not moving, but the ball's moving, and it's a hard ball. So there's part of the challenge, half the challenge there, in terms of tracking, visually tracking a moving ball. But tennis is different. So what I kind of eventually came to believe was that number one, sprints were important rather than long distance stuff. And then if I played a lot of sets, that endurance wise, I build up enough endurance so that I didn't need to do any kind of really long distance endurance type of training. Now, look, I will tell you that one of the things that I used to do a lot at the Berkeley Tennis Club was I'd play and go do a series of sprints, and I'm going to tell you the exact kinds of sprints I was doing, not just seeing how fast you can run, but a specific type of sprint, which I'll get into in just a second, which I think is really important. That for the few of you that will actually get out there and number one, embrace fitness as a foundational part of your game, but number two, do sprints in this certain way. Um, Give me a minute or so, and then I'm gonna tee up for you. I've told you about this before, but so look, what I used to do at Brooklyn Tennis Club is I go play my matches, or I go play my match, and then I would do a series of sprints, and then I would go back in the locker room and change into my running shoes. And behind the Berkeley Tennis Club is the Claremont Hotel, and which is where I grew up. I grew up back there and on Alvarado Road. And there's, you go up Tunnel Road. You come out of the club, you go up Tunnel Road, which is uphill, and then you go into the parking lot of the Claremont Hotel. And then there's a path, steep path that takes you from the hotel parking lot up to Alvarado Road, up to kind of the big first turn in Alvarado Road. And it was steep. And then you get to the top of that path, and there was a series of steps. And then you hit the Alvarado Road, and then you go up maybe another 100 yards, and then there'd be this set of stairs this thing was brutal. So for me, that was doing a lot of stairs, was sort of my way of building up endurance. And I think it did help with the sprints too. But look, if you can do any kind of uphill stuff, now look, obviously you got to be careful when you're coming back downhill. And one of the reasons I love the stairs above the hotel is they had a railing so that coming down, you could actually, I'd put my right hand on the railing coming back down, and that would kind of soften, cushion the impact, right? So, and it, obviously if you're tired and then you're coming back down, you don't want to trip. So sort of a safety measure as well. But short of that, sprints, anyone can do sprints, right? Even if you've got a bum knee or something like that. I'm not saying that you're going to be the fastest guy doing sprints, but you could do them in a way. And here is the way that I do them. And even if it's a fast walk, it's better than not doing it. And that is going from the tennis court's 120 feet, right? From fence to fence. So you start on the side of the net, or I should say that you start over in the corner of the back fence, and then you're going to sprint all the way to the end of the court to the other back fence. Obviously, you're doing it, around the net post, to the side of the net post. But what I want you to do is when you start your sprint, or before you turn around and you look at the back fence that you're sprinting towards, and find some kind of spot on that. Could be a windscreen, could be a fence, could be, the crossbars of the fence over there, could be, lots of windscreens have got like a stain, like a water stain or some kind of mark on it. This may be about head high. You don't want to be looking up too much, don't want to be looking down too much, but about head high. And as you sprint, what I want you to try to do is keep that mark over there that from kind of jumping up and down. And the reason for that is that then you train your body to sprint in a certain way, so that visually you can better track a moving tennis ball as it's coming to you, right? And the same thing with when we do side to side, right? The opponent pulls us over to a corner, let's say with a forehand ground stroke, you go over there, and if you've been doing lots of sprints in the way that I'm coaching you to do it, you're going to visually track the moving tennis ball, the moving incoming tennis ball way better. And when you do your spacing, right? Number one fundamental in the game, spatial distance away from the path of that incoming ball is going to be much more consistent, so that you're going to confidently not have to kind of improvise stroke technique. You're to be able to repeat the same stroke technique that works for you over and over and over again. So you'll have good spacing. You'll have a good timing in terms of swing. When do you deliver the racket to the ideal point of contact for you? Let's say, for example, on that topspin forehand. But then we got to recover back to the middle. And recovering back to the middle, the side to side, because you don't know, right? If your opponent's going to take the shot you just hit, if they're going way to your left, they're going way to your right, they're playing a drop shot, you don't know. So that's why we go side to side to recover. But going side to side to recover is also important, that you can visually track a moving tennis ball, that the going side to side, your eyes aren't bouncing up and down. So here's what I do with my sprints. As I just said, I go from back fence to back fence, sprinting as fast as I can. And that may be, I could go faster, but because I'm trying to really keep that spot over there from bouncing up and down as I'm sprinting, it might be a little bit slower than just full out crazy sprint speed. But to me, I'd rather go, a hair slower on the sprints just so that I can really train my body to absorb, to be much more of a shock absorber so that I can visually track the moving tennis ball a lot better. What I do when I get to the end is I then turn around and I do a series of side to side to recover back to the original back fence that I started. So I'll go one direction, side to side for 4 counts. I'll flip around, go side to side the other direction. And then, and I caution you on this part, check your health insurance. By the time I've done 2 of those, right? So I've done my full sprint. I do side to side one direction, side to side the next direction. That gets me back to just about the net post, right? So I'm about halfway back. And then I turn around and I do a 4 count backwards, not sprint, but kind of a backwards jog, right? The same time, trying to keep my balance. Because look, think about it. Lots of times in the game, you're up at net and someone lobs you. And look, we've got to first step, maybe take a step backwards. Well, it's important that we do that on balance, right? So that we can initially read and gauge the depth of that lob as we go back. Too often what players do on that lob is they freeze for a second to make sure they visually can figure out the depth, and then they go back. I don't like that. I like to assume it's going to be a deep lob. I go and start backwards, not literally backwards, but more of a side to side as I'm going backwards. And that's when I'm initially trying to gauge the depth of the lob. And look, I mean, fine. Maybe it's a short lob. Okay. Way easy to put the brakes on and then come forward. And I would rather do that, right? I would rather be able to put the brakes on too far behind the lob, then come forward and have some forward momentum as I'm hitting my overhead. But there you have it. That's kind of the sequence, right? So it's a full out sprint with visually locking on a spot on that far back fence as you're sprinting towards it. Then to recover side to side one direction, side to side the other direction, and then by the time you get to net post, then a little backwards jog. Be careful. Be careful on that part. Way easy to trip, go backwards. No bueno on that, right? Okay. So I'm curious, how many of you out there will actually do this? How many of you actually, well, let's take it and make it even more general. How many of you actually are actually out there doing some form of tennis specific fitness? Obviously, long distance running is not going to do it, right? At least for me, it didn't do it. When I was doing it, I got super strong in the legs. I could run all day long, but didn't really translate to being a better player in the tennis court. So how many of you are actually embracing fitness as a foundation or as part of the foundation of your game? Love to know. Shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Let me know what it is that you do, how often you do it, and maybe even, the big elephant in the room, the kitchen. What are you doing in the kitchen? You're doing anything tennis specific that would help you run a little bit, a little bit quicker, be a little lighter on your feet, have some good endurance, recovery, all that good stuff, some natural energy. What are you doing in the kitchen to help you do that? Could be a diet, could be supplements, could be, I don't know. You tell me. Brent@webtennis.com would love to know what you're doing. And look, if you're not doing any of this stuff and you really believe that you should, then I got 2 things for you. Number one, over at the Web Tennis members area, I got several free things over there for you. One of them is the fitness program, and part of that is what I just described in terms of the sprints. The other part is my diet, what I eat, what I don't eat. And if you want some help with that, start there, right? Go on over there, webtennis.com. If you're not already a member, and it's free to be a member over there, then just drop in a first name and email address, and you'll get access to the members area. Or if you really want some specific help, let me know. Brent@webtennis.com. All right, guys, that is it for me. It's time for all of us to get out there wherever you are. Help another human being have a fantastic day. What's wrong with that? Let's not, come on, get out there, help someone else have a great day. Guys, as always, I'll see you again tomorrow.